sky was already darkening when you turned off the narrow gravel road. Above, thick clouds rolled in like waves, slow and silent. The forest pressed close on either side of the car, tall pines leaning gently, their tips whispering secrets to each other. Headlights flickered across twisted roots and old mossy stones, then caught on something ahead. A mailbox, long, rusted shut, barely standing upright. You stopped the car and stepped out into the cool hush of the woods. It smelled like pine and damp earth, and something faintly sweet, like lavender carried on the wind. You reached into your coat for the old folded map, handwritten in ink where directions you'd barely trusted. But there it was, the cabin. With the rain starting in a gentle patter, you followed the short path through the trees. The air was thick with memory. You didn't know why, but the place felt familiar, like a song you'd heard once in a dream. And then, between the trees, you saw it. The cabin, weathered but strong, tucked into the arms of the forest, its windows glowing faintly with the last light of dusk. You stepped up onto the porch. The wood creaked beneath your boots, but the sound was comforting, like someone waking up from a long nap. The key, left exactly where the note said it would be, fit easily into the lock. Inside, the scent of cedar and old stone welcomed you like a friend. Dust motes drifted lazily through the air, caught in the light of a single lamp by the fireplace. A thick quilt rested across a wooden bed. Books lined a shelf, some open, others dog-eared as if paused mid-thought. And outside, the rain whispered. You hadn't realized how tired you were. You sat down by the fire, letting your shoulders drop. The storm built slowly above the forest, and somewhere far off, thunder rolled like a great creature, turning in its sleep. Tonight, the world would rest, and you would rest with it. The rain continued through the night, soft and steady like a lullaby. The fireplace had burned low, casting long shadows that swayed gently across the floor. You awoke just enough to pull the blanket closer around you, then drifted again, half dreaming, half remembering. By the time you fully stirred, the storm had quieted, and only the occasional drop could be heard slipping from pine needles onto the roof. You sat up slowly, noticing things. You stepped outside with a lantern, drawn by a quiet curiosity. The forest felt different at night, not empty, but watching, not cold, but reverent. The moon filtered through high branches, casting patterns on the soft path. With each step, the cabin disappeared behind you, swallowed by the trees. Yet you didn't feel lost. The path was gentle, winding between moss-covered rocks and sleepy brooks. A deer watched from the shadows and blinked slowly. You nodded. It nodded back. You came to a clearing lit entirely by moonlight. Wildflowers glowed faintly blue. A large stone sat in the center, warm to the touch, even in the cool night air. You sat there for a while, breathing in the quiet. In the distance, an owl called, low and thoughtful. The storm had passed, but it had left something behind, a stillness deeper than silence, and in that stillness, something in you began to shift, just slightly, like a door unlocking. Back at the cabin, as you stepped inside, you felt it. Not fear, not surprise, but presence. Someone had been here, or perhaps still was. The fire was out, but a small candle had been lit on the table, and on that table, a single pine cone rested, freshly dropped, still damp. You looked around. The door was locked, the windows untouched, and yet you sat beside the candle. Its flame flickered, casting strange shadows against the walls. You didn't speak, didn't move much, just listened. The cabin had a rhythm, a breath, like it too was alive. Later, as you lay in bed, the candle burned down low, and as you watched it, your eyes grew heavy, not with exhaustion, but trust. You let them close, knowing someone, something was watching over the night. You woke before midnight, not from noise, but from a pull, a quiet urge to step outside. The air was crisp, the sky vast and endless. Then you saw them, lanterns, small golden lights, floating between the trees, moving slowly, calmly, not like fireflies, no flicker, just a soft, steady glow. You followed them. They led you down an unfamiliar path, one that curved through thick trees and sleeping flowers. The lanterns never rushed. They waited if you slowed. They danced if you looked too serious. Eventually, they brought you to a soft breeze passed, and the blossoms fell like snow, settling into your hair and shoulders. You didn't brush them off. You let them stay. On your way back, the forest spoke, not in words, but in nudges. The wind curled around your ears like a lullaby. The trees rustled, not randomly, but in rhythm. You stopped and closed your eyes. And the wind whispered, "You are safe here. You always were." You smiled, not because you understood, but because you didn't need to. The path led you home again, and the cabin glowed warmly, like it had missed you. You were cleaning near the hearth when your foot tapped something hollow beneath the bed. Curious, you knelt, lifting the loose board. Beneath it, a ladder, leading to a small space below. Not a basement, a hidden room. It was tiny, but glowing. Dozens of tiny lights lined the ceiling like stars. A table held smooth stones, open books, and a music box that played the sound of rain. You sat there a long time, just breathing. You realized someone had built this room not to escape, but to feel. You stayed until the music stopped. Then you climbed back into the world above, changed. The next night, the storm returned, louder this time. But you weren't afraid. You opened the windows, letting the wind and scent of pine flood in. You lit candles and boiled tea. You weren't hiding anymore. You were part of the forest now. As the thunder rolled, you read by candlelight. The journal beside you had more pages now, your handwriting joining the original. Not facts, not dates, just truths. Soft ones, about stillness, about healing, about peace. On your last night, the air felt different, lighter, not pushing you to stay, not asking you to leave, just offering. You stepped out into the clearing, the sky full of stars. You thought of the noise you'd come from, of the silence you'd found. You didn't need answers anymore, just the stillness, just the trees, just the sound of your own breath. And as the forest watched, as the cabin exhaled, you made your choice. Not loudly, not finally, just gently. You would return, but now you knew there would always be a place in the woods for peace.